Time now for our business roundup with Cole Stangler. Hi, Cole. Starting off with a big commitment from Facebook.
That's right. CEO Mark Zuckerberg says he understands the company may have to pay more in taxes. It's according to a speech he's set to give Saturday at the Munich Security Conference. He'll also pledge his firm's support behind an ongoing effort to rewrite global tax rules, currently overseen by the OECD. According to an excerpt of that talk, the Facebook boss expected to say, quote, "We want the OECD process to succeed so that we have a stable and reliable system going forward. And we accept that may mean we have to pay more tax and pay it in different places under a new framework." And of course, it comes amid growing criticism that tech firms are not paying their fair share, especially in the European Union. Frustrations that Zuckerberg says he understands, according to the speech. Let's take a look now at Friday's trading action. A mixed bag on Wall Street to end the week. Fears over the coronavirus continuing to nag at investors there. Turning to the U.S. markets, Dow Jones down around 0.1%. S&P and the tech-heavy NASDAQ, meanwhile, both up around 0.5%. Meanwhile, some slight losses on the major European indices. The FTSE closing out Friday down around 0.6%. The DAX just around about even, while the CAC 40 shed around 0.4%. Renault shares down 0.9% after the automaker announced its first net annual loss in a decade. Meanwhile, one of the world's oldest banks is changing its name. 293 years after its founding, the Royal Bank of Scotland is becoming NatWest, taking on the name of its largest brand. Seen as part of an overhaul to improve the firm's image, which took a big hit in the financial crisis after RBS was saved by a government bailout. The lender also says it's stepping up efforts to fight climate change, with its CEO promising to phase out coal financing by 2030. Take a listen.
So what we want to do is be part of helping the UK transition to a low-carbon economy. We have very strong policies in terms of our lending today, so only 0.3% of our balance sheet is lent to coal-based industries. And what we will do is, we've said over time, we will withdraw that lending, but what we want to do is work with our customers on transition plans.
Next up to the north of France, where workers are reacting to reports of rail giant Alstom preparing to buy up the rail division of Canadian firm Bombardier. Together, the firms employ over 3,000 people in the region and are said to be in, quote, advanced talks of a potential deal. Alison Sargent explains why and what it could mean.
It's a purchase that could make Alstom the world's clear number 2 in railway equipment. The French train maker is in talks to buy the rail division of Canadian manufacturer Bombardier. Employees at this factory in northern France have mixed feelings about a potential buyout.
It's easy to buy a group or a rail division, but then what happens? And it's not just us. Don't forget, we also work with subcontractors.
We know that Bombardier has been having financial problems, so I think having Alstom's support could make things easier.
Combined, the two companies employ over 3,000 people in northern France, and unions warn that a merger would inevitably lead to loss of jobs. Bombardier, for its part, is over 8 billion euros in debt after investing huge sums to develop new airplanes. The company has been offloading its assets. Earlier this week, Bombardier sold its stake in A220 planes to Airbus and the Quebec government. And now Alstom is reportedly offering some 7 billion euros for its rail division.
The benefit for Alstom is to form a rail industry giant, which would generate about 15 billion euros, and which would allow them to share the costs of research and development and commercialization, and to keep up with their rivals.
Alstom and other manufacturers have been fighting to counter competition from Chinese industry leader CRRC Corp. Alstom already tried to join forces with Germany's Siemens, but the EU blocked the merger last year over antitrust concerns.
And finally, Friday, of course, a big day for florists, but they're not the only ones making an extra buck this Valentine's Day. According to MasterCard, global spending on gifts has shot up 17% between February 11th and February 14th over the last 3 years. That includes purchases on things like hotels and restaurants, as well as flowers and jewelry. Spending jump has been even bigger here in France, increasing by some 50%. Chris, Valentine's Day, historically bigger deal in the Anglophone world, certainly the US and the UK, but apparently catching on here, at least according to MasterCard.
According to some, thank you very much, Cole. That was your business roundup. Time